where what grouping of guys works best together. But when you are beating the Warriors by 10 in the fourth quarter and you lose by 28, that's a problem. That's a problem. And I get that, it's the Warriors. They're playing against the Knicks. You have a double-digit lead and still lose by 28. Double-digit lead in the fourth quarter and lose by 28. And the team that he had out on the court for almost the entire fourth quarter just absolutely frustrated me. It was Noah Vonleh, who I trust. What's his name? Alonzo Trier, which I also trust him, kind of. He's earning my trust. Then you got Frank Ntilikina, who's showing more and more that he's probably not a point guard, but he's a defensive freak. Seeing him now, do you think, is that a fair assessment? He's looking less and less like a point guard, less and less like what the Knicks needed him to be before Alonzo Trier burst on the scene, and just looks like he's someone who's going to end up being like a multi-time Sixth Man of the Year winner. That's what I'm seeing from him right now.
I don't know. As I said, he's very young. I think it deserves more discussion at the end of the season. But yeah, he definitely does have to improve on the offensive side of the ball. I love his passing sometimes, and then other times he, is very frustrating because he's still so hesitant to just go for it when he has a mismatch.
He has an open three and he hesitates. And it's just insane because just like 20 seconds later, he'll have a contested three and he'll jack it up. It just frustrates the hell out of me. And that's a coaching thing almost as much as it is him. You've got to teach him you can't just be jacking up threes. Look for the open shot, and if the three is there, take it. The three is there, he doesn't take it. The three's not there, he's willing to jack up anything.
Well, I think that comes down to shot clock. The problem that the Knicks are really having is they are not getting assists. They're not setting each other up to score. There's way too much ISO ball I'm seeing. And yeah, we've got some young guys that have some talent and can beat a lot of players. Timmy's offensively talented. Trier's offensively talented.
So Alonzo Trier is the point guard of the future for the Knicks.
Not if he's this selfish. He could be a shooting guard, but he can't be a point guard if he's gonna remain that selfish. Because yeah, he's gifted offensively, but he almost, he seemingly never really wants to pass. He wants the ball in his hand, maybe makes a last second pass after doing a, drive to the basket and trying to draw defenders. And yeah, that can work sometimes, but you also need to play off ball. I haven't seen a lot of off ball movement from any of the Knicks. They seem to all just stand around, and wait for the guy with the ball to do something, which is just kind of ridiculous. But yeah, Frank definitely needs to work on the shooting. He needs to shoot when he's open. Trier needs to work on the passing. Other Knicks players need to work on just moving. Timmy and Trier's defense both need work. I read some rumor that Ntilikina also is working on tweaking his shooting form. So maybe that is the result. Maybe that's resulting in what we've seen recently with him missing a lot of shots that he would, looked like he would normally hit.
Yeah, I mean, that's entirely possible. I think going back to Trier and his selfishness, oftentimes he's the best player on the court when he's on the court. Because Hardaway isn't out there with him all the time. I mean, you got Enes Kanter who's coming off the bench. But, like, who's more talented of the group? Who's more talented? You got Hazonia, you've got Vonleh, Trier, Ntilikina, and whoever else you want to put out on there. Like, who's the most talented player on that team? Most naturally gifted is definitely Alonzo Trier. The reason he wasn't drafted in the first round of the NBA draft or drafted at all is because he's an asshole. And you saw that with the recruiting scandal and all that. It wasn't because he's not a good basketball player. It's because he's an asshole. So once KP comes back and he has to get him the ball, I think that'll kill that problem pretty quick, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah. I mean, on the positive side, Meach looks pretty great. For a rookie, he's already had a career high 9 blocks. He's making moves to get screens. So I'm definitely happy with what I'm seeing from him. Knox is coming back from injury, so I'm waiting to see what he can do.
For him, my problem with him has just been inconsistent when he's been on the court. Like, he hasn't shown that he can be brilliant in the way that I was hoping he would after the preseason, but he also hasn't shown that he's going to be terrible. So his inconsistency is really the issue that I have right now.
That's most rookies. I mean, even Trier has silent nights. Some of these losses can be frustrating. I think Fizdale is kind of just tinkering with lineups, but I am worried. Again, the assist thing is huge. That, they're standing around. There's not a lot of quick decisions and not a lot of easy looks.
They're doing a great job of getting offensive rebounds, just not translating.
Right. And he's had some weird inbound plays. I'm a little worried about his adjustments. There's definitely I'm definitely seeing a couple of flags from him, but it's it's the first year, new system, new guy, so I'm not gonna just be ready to fire him or
we're like 15 games into the season
up after this season. What's up?
So we're 15 games into his tenure as coach?
I think 14, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not saying he's not the guy. I'm just saying it's really frustrating when you have a lead, double-digit lead in the fourth quarter, and you still lose by 28.
Yeah, I mean, the Warriors can do that to almost any team in the league, unfortunately, especially a team like the Knicks. But what I'm hoping to see from him, from Fizz, is continuing to mess around with the lineups a little bit. It's this is not a season where you're especially without KP, that you have really any chance of doing much. So yeah, mess with the lineup, see who plays well together. Doesn't really necessarily matter what the score of the game is, as long as you got guys competing and you're making improvements. So yeah, we're 14 games in. Let's see what we're looking at halfway through the season. Has there been improvement? Is his system kind of starting to fall into place? This assist number has to go up, though. That is like again, first year, but even Brad Stevens had a poor record his first year. Frank needs to, I think, even though he's been missing, I still think he needs to attack more, because every team that every time we're facing another team. They just see him as a straight passer, so they don't even care about really covering him. They're just always looking for him to pass. So he needs to drive to the basket and get some shots up, score or miss. But he needs to show that he's a threat there and keep defenses honest. Knox has to continue to develop. I want to see him driving too. We know he can shoot. I really want to see more of what he showed in summer league with driving to the basket and not being afraid to slam it on some mofos. But all that being said, a lot of young, promising-looking players, even with their issues. Frank is the same age as most of our rookies, so.
And the rookies are only a year younger than Chris House Porzingis.
Yeah, so they need some time. They need to be developed, and I'm hoping Fizdale can be that strong presence to get them on track. And yeah, it might be a down year, but hopefully once we get KP back, that'll really start to gel things. He's obviously the most talented player that the Knicks have had in a long time. Hopefully he comes back to full health.
He needs to be more aggressive too, though. He needs to play like he's 7 feet tall and back some bitches down in the paint.
Right. Well, he needs to put on muscle in order to do that. You can't really back down dudes when they've just got more mass than you. So we'll see. That usually comes with time. A couple years in, coming back from rehabbing an injury like an ACL, he probably isn't able to pack on a whole lot of muscle right now until he's back to full health. So I expect that to be something that he concentrates pretty heavily on next offseason, as he's getting fully, consistently back to health. Timmy, we're relying on way too much currently. He's a good streaky scorer, but he's bad on defense. He's not consistent enough. So he's got to be like a guy like you treat like J.R. Smith. Like when he's hot, get him the ball. But when he's cold, sit down, let him come in spurts and try and get his shot up. And then again, when he's hot, give him the ball.
Yeah, he's more than capable of scoring 50 points.
Right. But that doesn't mean he helps the team win if he's just letting everyone through on defense.
It's the same thing with Carmelo. That's the whole reason a lot of us fans wanted Carmelo to leave. Because, yeah, he could score, but his defense was so bad. For every point that Carmelo scored, he gave up 6. So
right. The other thing I want to see Mitch. I want to see him shoot a little bit more. He can hit even from 3, but he's been kind of hesitant. So I want to see him shooting more. I want to see Frank shooting more, and I want to see some freaking passing. I don't really know why. Well, if I think about it, I think we're giving Moutier a little too much time, and I think it might be in order to try and potentially move him. I don't really see him fitting in with what we've got going. There's someone that does what he does better than him in every facet. Huh?
Yeah, he can. Moutier is talented. He just doesn't live up to his potential. His scoring's not there. He's just not where he should be. And the Knicks can easily replace him. And seems like they already have with Alonzo Trier. He's essentially a taller Ron Baker, is the way I see him. He can handle the ball. He's all right at it. His scoring's not great.
Unlike Baker, though, Moutier is also suspect on D. He sometimes tries, and when he does, he's pretty good. But I still see him not